Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Live Out Your Potential podcast. My name is Nelson Kitofu, and I'll be your host for this conversation today. Today, we're back with yet another very interesting and exciting conversation. And I'm happy and privileged to be hosting Dr. Gabor, who is a couple therapist. And then we're going to be talking about family, marriage, and relationships. And it's really a pleasure to be having you here. You're most welcome to this platform.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I am very excited to be here with you.
The pleasure is ours. Before you start, I'll let you introduce yourself to the viewers, but many of us who doesn't know you. And I'll get to you to now the couples therapist part, but who's the mind behind the title?
That's so nice. Yes, my name is, first of all, a tongue twister for many people who are not native Hungarian. So my name is Dr. Gabor MIHALEC. This is who I am. I'm a Hungarian living in Hungary, but I have a very mixed background because I lived in three different countries, in three different cultures, and I enjoyed the school system of three different countries, which had a very huge impact on me. And I work now as a couple therapist and as a pastor at the same time, which is also a very unusual thing because you either do one or the other. I like to combine things. And I think that's a very powerful combination because as a pastor, I have those tools that usually pastors don't have. I can read between the lines and I can read from faces. I can feel if something is wrong and I can approach people and say, I feel that there is something. Would you like to talk about it? And as a therapist, I also have the tools and the moral compass of a pastor, which helps me a lot in my therapeutic work. Besides that, or above all, I'm a husband. We are married for 31 years already with my wife. And we have together two children, two grown-up children. Our son Victor is going to be 29 this year, and our daughter Bogi is soon 24 this year. Both of them flew out of the home already, so we enjoy the life stage of the empty nest, which gives us the freedom to give ourselves more to our work, which we live out very passionately, both of us. And coming to passions, I have two passions, my private passions. One is traveling. I love traveling, and I would spend most of the year with traveling if I wouldn't have any other obligations. And I love gardening, especially Japanese gardening. I like bonsai, those little dwarf trees.
I see.
I have about 30 of them in my garden, and I take care of them.
Interesting. That's a very interesting character. Well, thank you very much again for being here. I want us now to talk about family relationship. I think our conversation will be split into two. I would like to start talking about family at large, and then we talk about marriage in particular, because I feel like it's your field of work, either with your two hats as a therapist, but also as a pastor. And to start off this conversation, I'll have a few questions I want to start with. These are like trivia questions. Okay. I don't want you to develop on them. I just want a very short answer, or at least your first reaction when you hear such a statement.
Okay.
Yeah. The first one says, love alone is enough to sustain a long-term relationship.
Definitely no.
Okay.
In the first stage of the relationship, it is enough, but every relationship comes to a point where you need also to make conscious decisions and actions to keep the love relationship running on long term.
Great. We'll get back to that. Here's another statement. Children should not be involved in or exposed to adult emotional problems at home.
Yes and no. Children should not be victims and witnesses of the conflicts of their parents, but I think they are also members of the family, and as such, they are part of the emotional ecosystem of the family. So if I, as a father, I am sad about something, I don't pretend not to be. I say to my children, I am sad now. It's not about you, but I am sad because maybe my father died. And this has something to do with you. It's something you need to know, but it is my burden, not yours.
Okay. Here's another statement. Every couple or family needs counseling or professional therapy.
I wouldn't agree with that. No. There are certain points in life when you need therapy, but a relationship is not an illness that needs to be treated. It needs to be lived out in a good way. It needs to be lived out well.
Great. Final statement. Most relationship problems are caused more by poor communication than by lack of love.
I would agree with that. Yes, yes, yes.
Great. So,
and the more we communicate effectively, the more our love will grow. So there is a balance between the
truth
two.
in that. Okay. So let's now start from back coming to these questions. We're going to start with family. How would you define a family?
That's a very tricky
And in
question.
today's world, I think, okay, not to influence your question, but what would you say is a healthy family?
First of all, families can be defined in many ways. It can be defined by a blood relationship. If somebody is my child, then we are related to each other. But what about my wife? We are not blood relatives with each other, but she's still my family. It can be described by emotional bonds. But what about those families when one of the members did an emotional cutoff and says, okay, I don't want to live with you anymore, and moves out of the family? He or she is still somehow member of that family. So every kind of definition is somehow poor and does not take the whole system into consideration. I think a family is a system of people. It is a network of relationships, either by blood or by choice, but people who are very important and formative in my life, and who are important to me also emotionally, and with whom I want to maintain a relationship for my whole life.
I have a question on that. Personally, when I hear the word family, I see I'll define it only in two. One, define family as where you come from, as you described.
Yes.
My parents, my siblings, those I come from.
Yes.
But I also define family as something one can aspire to build. Yeah, that means me now building a family of my own.
Exactly.
But hearing you, I think you're defining it in a broader perspective, in a
Yes.
way that if we are close friends, or if I choose to make you my family, then you my family, which makes me question that relationship in terms of how do we define family, and if choice comes in the equation, how does it affect that relationship that is blood related, or the choice of the partner that we've built a family together? So do you think it is right to have that broader understanding of a family, or narrow down to that core family, that intimate family, than just that communal approach of defining a family?
Yes. There are many definitions, and all of them are true in some way. What you described first is what we call in literature the nuclear family: father, mother, children. But then after a while, we come to a life stage where we build up our own family. This is not the family of our origin anymore, but this is the family which we choose to, to build up. That's why we marry. That's why we get children. But then again, there comes another life stage where other people will become parts of the family. Maybe we have absolutely no word in it if they will become members of our family or not, but we want to introduce them into the family. We want to incorporate them. Let me give you a very practical example. My son married a wonderful lady from Mongolia, a different world, a totally different culture. She looks differently. Her skin is different like ours. She speaks differently. Is she now family or not? Definitely yes.
She is, yeah.
And I love her as my child. I do everything in my power to make her happy, because she is a member of my family. Although I didn't choose her, although I'm very grateful that she is member of my family, my son chose her. Although we are not related by blood, we are not even members of the same culture, but she is definitely family for me. And I love her with all of my heart.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Um, Now, come back to what we can call, allow me the term, a functional or a dysfunctional family.
Yes.
How would you define those two
Yes.
or differentiate them?
Family is a place where we learn those basic things that we use throughout our whole life. Can I trust another person? Can I approach another person even if I don't know them? Is the world a safe place? Or is the world a dangerous place where I always need to be cautious? Where is the danger coming from? All of these things that become part of our basic instinctive reactions, we learn within the family. So if the family is a well-functioning family, we learn that the world is a safe place. People are nice. We are members of the same family. Although we look differently, we eat different foods, we speak different languages, but our blood has the same color. We cry in the same language. We laugh in the same language. We can get hurt in the same way. So we are family with each other as human beings. In family, we can also learn that it is very dangerous to let somebody close to me. That's a dysfunctional family. I depend on that person, but that person constantly hurts me, traumatizes me. That's a dysfunctional family. And unfortunately, we have many, many dysfunctional families around us. Some of them by choice, some of them because they didn't see anything else in their lives and they just repeat those patterns that they learned in their own childhood. But that's why we need people who know about the dynamics in the family and can contribute somehow to the healing of those wounds which were created by dysfunctional families.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing I liked about yourself, how you are defining your background and your passions, is the fact that you wear two hats of a professional therapist, but also a pastor.
Yes.
And I feel like it exposes you in a position to understand better families, mostly because in many communities, many cultures, church is the first place people go to when they're facing different problems, mostly family related. Um, but again, even those who don't go to church might come to therapy or meet you in other setup, uh, which makes me now want to hear from your point of view. What do you think are the challenges that families are meeting in the current world, in this era, this information era? What are we exposed to? What are family exposed to? And what challenges are families facing in this day and age?
First, I would like to address the first part of the question. As a pastor, I am naturally involved and welcomed at those very, very critical points of a life of a family where no other profession have insight to or access to. At every meaningful occasion in a family life, somehow church is involved. When a couple wants to marry, we are the ones to whom they come to marry them. So we have a possibility to give a good impact on them and to have a good influence to prepare them, not only for the wedding, but also for the marriage, to give them premarital counseling. When they have their first baby, they come to church because they want their baby to have dedicated and to ask God's blessing on that baby. So again, very naturally, we are there where life happens. When the baby gets older and comes into the very rough teenage years, we are there as church people to support the family. When somebody dies in the family, we are there much closer than any other profession in the world.
Sure.
We are the ones who have direct access to families on those points in their lives. So this also means that we can have a good impact on families even outside those times of crises. We see what is happening in the lives of families when people are too much occupied with making money to sustain the life of the family. So distracted by so many things that the online world has to offer. And when we see parents sitting around the dinner table like this,
We're all scrolling.
and the child is trying to say something, and dad or mom is just saying, "Oh yeah, I hear you. Yeah, sure." Or, oh, we see what kind of impact that has on the life of families. They become more estranged from each other. They are more likely to pile up those unresolved conflicts. And if you go into a home, you can smell the tension in the air. You can smell that these people are related to each other, but they don't talk with each other. They have so
They
many
don't know each other.
unresolved issues. They don't know each other. They are not involved in each other's worlds. They don't trust each other. Maybe they even fear of each other. And that's not healthy.
Yeah. That's scary to hear, but again, that's the reality.
That's the reality.
That's the reality. It's very common to
Yes.
come in a home
Yes.
and everyone is on their phone.
Yes.
And if you want to tell me something, text me or send me a link, and
Then I will listen to you.
yeah.
Yeah, but we are not here to judge, because we also do it because we want to be connected with people. Never in history was it possible to sit into a studio and do something that tens of thousands of people will see. That's a huge opportunity, a wonderful thing. But it also endangers us that we put our lives only in this part of reality, and we lose connection with real human beings sitting next to us.
What risk do you think these behaviors are exposing us to? Now I'm thinking of families of the future.
Yes.
The way children are being raised.
Yes.
If a child can't communicate with their parents because they're busy not only on their phones, but life happens. They have a lot going on, and then children have, in some instances, literally raising themselves.
Yes.
From what you've read, what you saw online, and everything. Yes. And what do you think are the dangers to the families that these children will now lead or own in the future?
Yes, yes. I think we are not able to give to others what we don't have.
That's real.
And that's why it is, as a parent, for me, very crucial to spend as much time as possible with my children. I'm not able to protect them from the bad things that can happen in this world. But while being close to them, I can help them to be able to face those challenges that the world will bring to them. So what does it mean in details? If there is a crisis somehow, a war breaks out. In Europe, we have a huge war now going on. It's just our neighbor country, a few hundred kilometers from us. The Russians are shooting the Ukrainians are shooting the Russians, and it seems that there is no end in sight because all other countries are taking sides and so many things are involved. I cannot hinder these things from happening. And they have an impact on my children. They have an impact on their emotional well-being. My daughter is afraid that the war will come over to our country. She is afraid that her boyfriend will be involved in some way, or her father needs to be a soldier to go to war. I cannot hinder this from happening. But I can make sure that we have such a close bond that she feels free to speak out her fears. And just while she speaks out her fears, it gets lower and lower and lower. And we trust each other more. And we can influence each other to let go those things that we have no control over, and to occupy ourselves more with those things that we can control. We can control if we want to create a beautiful garden next to our house. We can control if we want to renovate the room or not, to repaint the walls. We can control so many things, but this happens in a relationship. If we are close enough, if we trust each other enough, so we can open up those hidden inner spaces that we keep close because of our fear to get hurt. We are very vulnerable beings. If we got hurt once or twice, then we keep ourselves closed because we don't want to get hurt anymore.
I love that. And I want you to continue on that line of giving us some hope.
Yes.
Because regardless of the challenges or how much families are exposed,
Yes.
I think there's still hope.
Yes.
There's still what can be done.
Yes.
There's still support that can be available. And now I want to speak to individual responsibilities now. And I'm thinking of someone who's watching this, having identified some of the things that we're talking about when we're defining a dysfunctional families, and you can relate to them. Now, what is it that one can start doing, or at least can pay attention to now start that journey of moving from a dysfunctional family to actually being a functional family, either for their nuclear family or the family as we defined it?
Yes. I think the first step is to take responsibility for ourselves. I couldn't choose in which family was I born. I couldn't choose my nationality, my ethnicity, but I can choose how I relate to my past. I was a war refugee. In 1992, there was a war in the Balkan countries, and I had to go to obligatory military service and to be part of that war. And I choose not to do that because I choose not to take part in a war to kill people. But that's also trauma for me. I had friends went there, and I have friends who died there. It traumatized me. I have no control over that, but I have control over how I think about that. I have no control over what happened to me, but I have control over how I relate to that, what happened to me. So I can turn it to my benefit. I can now understand people much more who suffered similar traumas, who were in a life situation they didn't choose, who suffered deep losses. I can relate to them in an empathetic way. This is my choice. So in a normal everyday situation, a parent couldn't choose if her father was an alcoholic or not, but she or he can choose if they want to continue this legacy to their children or not. So take responsibility for yourself and stop blaming your parents. Probably they did the best they could. That was the best they could offer. But your best can be much better than the best of your parents. This is lesson number one for me. Take responsibility for your choices, for your actions, for the way how you relate to the people who are close to you, who are dear to you. And then everything flows more or less naturally. If you take responsibility for yourself, you want to become the best version of yourself. You want to live out your potential.
True, yeah.
If I am a husband, I want to be the best possible husband to my wife, which means I take a book and start reading how to become a good husband. Nobody teaches that at school or at kindergarten. Neither our parents teach it because they are stumbling in their own mistakes and issues as well. So learn as much as you can. We are living in a special time of history when we have more knowledge available than at any point of history until now. We have so much knowledge. Stop scrolling those stupid devices and learn something useful. Do something that benefits to your life and it enhances your possibilities. Then you become the best version of yourself and then see what kind of impact you make on the lives of others. And it will be like a stone that you throw into a lake. The waves will be endless.
Perhaps what I can add on is that it's a journey.
It is a journey.
But it starts from that intention, the willingness
Exactly.
to learn, to become better, at
Yes.
least from yourself, and then it, compounds and then reflects to the family at large.
Exactly. On our 25th wedding anniversary, I asked my wife a very silly question. I asked her, if we could turn back the time 25 years and 1 day ago, would you still marry me?
Yeah.
You know what she said?
Yeah.
Without thinking, no.
Ah.
I was shocked.
I am shocked.
I
was her
barely
reason?
could breathe. She saw the shock on my eyes, and then she said, hold on. It will have a good ending. Hold
Uh-huh.
on. I wouldn't marry again the man you used to be back then, 25 years ago, but the man who you are now, without hesitation. That means that I am probably a better version of myself now than I was 31 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is what life is about. It is a journey. If you stay in the same state without changing for the next 30 years, what did you do? How did you waste those years? Let's bring out the very best of it.
Yeah.
We have one life. Let's make the best of it.
Great. Let me now get you to talk about marriage. Again, it's another topic out there. Everyone talks about it. There's a lot of noise, what I call noise about it. And
Yes.
everyone pretends to know better than the other because, my experience, your experience, and everything.
Yes.
But I don't know if your answer will be different, but I'd like to ask, what would you call a functional marriage and a dysfunctional marriage?
The way we define functional and dysfunctional marriages changes from time to time. If you would have asked my grandfather what he considers to be a functional marriage, he would say like, well, is it financially sustainable? Do we have a roof above our head? Can we afford our children to send to school? That's a functional marriage. That's a very good marriage. We have other things that we measure the quality of marriage about. We want to be happy. We want to be fulfilled emotionally. We want to have an exciting sexual life. We want to feel desired for. We have different parameters to measure the functionality of a marriage. And that's why we, from time to time, need to reformulate what does marriage actually mean for us. For me, a well-functioning marriage is a marriage where I have no B plans. That's a very simple answer, but it is a very deep one. As long as you feel that something is missing out of that marriage, as long as you feel that, I have so many doubts, was she the right choice or should I have rather married the other one? A good marriage is where you have no doubts and you feel like this is the best option, no plan B. And if you decide not to have a plan B, it creates something inside of you. You start putting all your efforts into that relationship. And even out of a, let's say, poor choice, you can bring out a masterpiece because you invested all your energy, all your passion, all your time, all your knowledge into that relationship.
Let me challenge that a bit.
Do it.
And
put me to the test.
and here I'll talk mostly to the couples therapist, and I want to relate to the conversation currently around marriage. I think we're living an age where people are not committing to marriages like they used to in years ago, but also there are alternatives to marriage in either how we define a marriage or how we want to commit to a marriage.
Yes.
Here, I want to talk about mostly the prenups, where people, before they commit to a marriage, they first agree on terms and conditions.
Yes.
And they sort of set out different scenarios. What could happen if this happens? What happens when we split or if we split? And from how I understand you defining a functional marriage, I feel like it's different from this. Let me call it a new approach of how people are thinking about marriage. So, but also there's the way the whole concept of marriage has become a bit light, where one could be like, okay, I can commit to you, but if it doesn't work out, we'll divorce and then I'll get someone else. And, it's so common and normal to the point where, it's not new anymore. And now, what would you say to one who has such an approach to marriage? Because this whole conversation comes in ways to protect yourself. You're committing to this person, but things can happen.
Yes.
As you were saying, a lot can happen that is out of your control. That's why you say, okay, let me protect myself with a contract, with some terms and conditions that we agree on.
Yes.
But I didn't hear, that wasn't your approach in how you define a functional marriage. Do you think we also, one who a marriage that starts on this foot also has a chance to become a functional marriage?
Let me highlight a question behind your question, because I think that nowadays we witness a debate around marriage, which is a philosophical debate. There is one side who says that marriage is just as old as humanity is, and marriage was not invented by human. It is a divine gift given by the Creator, who wanted to give the very best thing for his beloved children. There is another part or another side that says marriage is a human arrangement. At one point of history, people came together and they said, so what kind of form should we decide for people who live together? Let's call it marriage. So if it is a human invention, it is a social discourse, the result of a social discourse, it can be overwritten at any time. If the majority of the society thinks in a different way, or we come up with a new idea. So this is something very flexible. You can add to it, you can take away from it. It is something that you can decide for yourself. So first of all, we need to take a stand. I am on this side. I think that marriage is a divine invention, and it doesn't come from within us. It comes from above us, from somebody who wants the very best for me. This is my foundation. And of course, this will determine whom I marry. If I marry somebody who has a different opinion, we have a tension inside the marriage. So look at whom you marry and what that person believes about a relationship. How far does that person go with you to keep up that relationship? Would they give in at the first bump and say, that's it for me, thank you, I'm gone? Or will they go the extra mile, put in the extra effort? What statistics show us is very sobering for me. I don't know the exact statistics at this part of the world. In Europe, about 50% of marriages fail. They end up in a divorce. We are talking about first marriages. You would assume that, okay, the first one was not the right choice, but the second,
Even the second
will succeed.
Yeah.
60% of second marriages end up in a divorce.
More than first marriages.
And every next marriage has a 10% higher probability to end up in a divorce. Third marriages, 70% end up in a divorce. What is going on here? So it seems that life wants to teach us a lesson, but we deny to learn the lesson and we change. But as somebody formulated to me, it was an ex-husband who divorced already 3 times. He said, after 3 divorces, I finally figured out what was the common point between all of my unsuccessful marriages. Me. He brought himself into every of the next marriages, and that led to the divorce. So we need to think about how honestly and how seriously do I take this relationship. And you mentioned the alternatives. For example, cohabitation, or in Western European countries, there is a short-term cohabitation as well.
Yeah.
In Germany, they used to say Lebensabschnittspartner, which means that in this phase of my life, she is my partner, but I prepare myself already that in the next stage of my life, I will
not
have
be.
another partner.
Yeah.
So it always looks like it is a debate between marriage. This is wrong. Half of them fall apart, but the alternatives are good. No, they are not. Statistically, you have 2 to 5 times higher probability to split up in a relationship, which is a cohabitating relationship, than in a marriage.
Okay.
This is a brutally high number. In some cultures, you have a 3 times higher probability to be a victim of physical abuse in a cohabiting relationship than in a marriage. In many cultures, people consume about 20% more alcohol in a cohabiting relationship than in a marriage. Nobody speaks about these numbers. They just say, marriage, that's old fashioned. Half of them break apart. But the alternatives are not better at all.
Worse, to say the least. What can you say to young people who are at that age of thinking about committing to a marriage, or at least having these thoughts in their minds, whether it's how they understand marriage, how they want to commit, like it's like a phase they're going through when they want to understand better before they get to marriage. How would they think through it? Of course, with the intention of making sure that this marriage that I'm committing to will end up in a functional marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We all prepare for that, unless we wouldn't get married. But I would like to call the attention of all of our viewers to keep emotions and decisions in a good balance with each other. Don't get blinded by the emotions. Look behind the emotions too. Emotions are very important. I can't imagine living together with somebody whom I am not attracted to. I want to be attracted to my wife. I want to feel goosebumps all over my body when she looks at me. Emotions are very important. But please use your brains as well. Look what kind of person is he or she. What values does that person have? There are so many life situations which bring up the values to the table. The first time we started dating with my future to-be wife was a very tricky time. There was a national holiday which I wanted to spend with her, but she promised already before she met me to spend it with another group of friends who was another circle of people. And I said to her, can't you just change your mind? Why couldn't we spend this together? She said, I would love to spend it together with you, but I already gave my word and I'm not playing with my word. I said, wow, that's a person of character. That's a person who is not just attractive to me, but I know I can put my life into her hand. Can you put your life into the hand of the other? Many people say, yes, he or she is, a bit silly and a bit untrustworthy, but everything will change after the wedding. It won't. That's the sad reality.
Yeah.
If he or she cheated on you before the wedding,
Chances are
that's a tester.
Yeah.
You will see what you can expect after the wedding. Because during the wedding, there is no brain change. It's the same person, the same brain, the same personality. So what they show you before the wedding will give you a taste of what you can expect after the wedding.
Yeah. As we wind up this conversation, I want you to tell us about now your profession. How do you come in as a couple therapist? But how do you come in not to solve problems, but also to prepare marriage? People are committing to marriages. And I'm saying this in also, sending out a message of hope, because after all, it's not that bad, regardless of all these challenges or problems and everything we're facing as a society, as a community. How does really couple therapy work? Who comes to you? How do they come to you? And when do they come to you?
Yes, yes. Marriage is good. Let me state that. Marriage is very good, but you can relate to it in a bad way. It's like driving a car. I love driving my car. I just bought a few weeks ago my new car, and I enjoy every minute I can spend in that new car. But you can drive a car in a way that will give enjoyment and happiness to you, and you can kill people with a bad way of driving a car, and including yourself.
Yeah.
It is your own responsibility. When people come to couple therapy, usually too late. There is a statistic, it was made in the United States, that says that usually people come 6 years later, 6 years, than they should have come at first place. They come too late too often. But still, there is hope. We can turn many processes back and teach them how to learn a new pattern, how to operate their relationship. And this is about patterns. We have our ways to maintain a relationship, even if we never thought about it. It is always the same way. She starts with eye rolling, he starts with losing his temper and hitting on the table. Then she reacts like withdraws her kindness from him. He reacts in a way that he starts spending his money on secret things that she will not know about, and it piles up higher and higher and higher. This is kind of a choreography. They built it up during the years, and they know exactly their part of the dance. It's like you have a dance in your feet. Whatever music you hear, you start dancing the dance because you trained the choreography. In a couple therapy session, we start questioning those choreographies, and we start questioning, is that to your benefit? Are you happy with that? If it works, don't change it. But if it hurts you and your spouse, how about we try a new choreography? And first, it will be very unnatural. But we don't talk like that. Many times I hear this from couples. I say, I know, that's why are you here. If you would talk like that, you wouldn't sit here. Learn to talk differently with each other. Okay, but how to do that? And I play it out as a role play with them first. I teach them from scratch, again, how to relate to each other that will create closeness. After a fight, it's possible that you don't want to see the other for the next 3 days, or it's also possible to have a fight in a way that you want to make love with that person after the fight. I want to teach them for the latter one. And for a while, I join to them. I become part of their system. And in that moment, when the new choreography became the automatic reaction, they even live out under pressure, then I know we did a good job. They will hold on for the rest of their lives.
Just a follow-up question. So when should one come for to see a couple therapist?
Yeah. If you have the impression that you are chewing the same bone over and over again, and you don't come to a solution, ask the help of a therapist. They have much deeper insights into your conflicts than you have to your own, because they have seen hundreds of couples who are struggling with maybe very similar issues. Or if you feel that your love life starts decreasing, you have no longer desire for that person, or you are hurt by that person, ask for help. There is help, and there are so many possibilities. Even if you think that your options ran out, the working field of a therapist starts there where you think that you are out of options. Ask for help. In the majority of the cases, we can turn these processes around, and something beautiful can be born out, even of the most dramatic situations.
Well, that's a very beautiful point to end this conversation. And I think that's the message. There's always help.
Yes.
Help is within reach. Reach out for help and support. And I think that's the message we're going to leave our viewers with, at least on this episode. And I hope if we get a chance, we'll get back to discuss further on other points of marriage, relationship, and everything. And I'd like to thank our viewers for being with us on this episode. Again, as we always like to remind people, this conversation does not replace professional support. If you relate to some of the things we talked about, or if you're going through a hard time, please seek support, seek help. There's always support out there, and always strive to live out your potential because support is there and the community is there to support you. So thank you for being with us on this episode. I'll see you in the next one.